you should not put down the phone. Are you sure you're doing anything?
I'm doing something. Where are you? But think of the number of times that you are on the phone and we are telling you to put down the phone and then you look as if you are saving the world.
It's always in the morning. It's always when I'm getting the devotional ready.
And so that means I need to take you on a course on time management.
No, it's because you want me to be off the phone because you always want me not to do anything when we're eating breakfast.
How can you know, God will bless you for the way you have cooked yourself now. How can you be eating breakfast with your husband and then you're on the phone?
So it means if I'm eating breakfast with any other person, I can be on
I don't care. That's their own problem.
This very morning, when I was conscious of I was going to complain about the phone, I looked to see what you were doing. This is what you were doing. That's what you were doing. So
I think this phone thing itself is causing
point.
too much wahala. No, there is point. What we need to do.
So this morning, what was it? What was happening when you were on
When
the phone?
you are not talking to me. Why are you talking to me
Let me
this
tell you
morning?
what you were doing.
Tell me.
You were on your phone. You were eating and you're looking at TV, eating on your phone.
Me.
Yes, you. You.
And so if I've done that, that is one time.
Yeah.
It is your own culture. It is. Can I call your daughter?
If I was so conscious of it that I was going to check to read through what I was going to post for the devotional this morning. But I was so conscious I put my phone down and I turned to see what you were doing. Lo and behold, you were doing the exact same thing.
So you felt very happy.
You think
No,
that
you
what you are
felt very
doing.
happy.
No.
It's like when we are small and you can take meat and then you now offer a little to.
But you think that what you were doing was more important. So you were on the phone.
I cannot remember. Did you want to talk to me at that point?
I was just watching to see what you were doing.
You see, that's the thing. You are watching to see. It's like, let me catch him today, then. That's what you are doing.
Because the impression that you're giving is that you are never on your phone.
No. I'm not giving that impression. I am sometimes on my phone, but I don't make a culture. Okay, let's agree today in front of everybody.
They will not be there after.
That. And we did this at a time that no phones allowed at meal times.
So, we have not even said hello to you guys. So my husband likes to have my undivided attention.
Before Uncle is your husband now, whose other attention should he have?
Let me tell you, I don't know whether to say how bad.
You are too far away from me. I'm biting.
Sound like this.
You started that conversation again.
I don't know whether, if we're seated together and watching something and I get up and say, where are you going?
You know how many people are looking for their husband to be asking them, and it's not where are you going as in, I'm monitoring you. It's that I'm enjoying your company. So you don't want me to enjoy your company?
Yes, I want you to.
That sounded like an old woman in a Nigerian movie who's about to do something evil.
I hear you. So I'm not on my phone, and you're not on your phone either. So now.
Hello, everybody. Today, what are we talking about?
What are we talking about? We're talking about
disagreements. The one I remember where we totally disagreed was many years later when Tomide had finished high school and we're thinking of university. Remember? And
Okay, so
I felt...
Rewind. What happened was,
guys, does that happen where your wife always thinks she can tell the better story, even if it is your own story? And she just hijacks the story from you.
You leave out all the important details. That's why I said rewind.
I know how to do things concisely. You leave out all the details and then we'll be here for the next 2 hours talking about the color of the man's shirt was red. You now begin to talk all those details.
So, as I was saying, what happened was when Tomide was small, from when he was very small, he would always tell us he wanted to be an architect from when we can remember. So as this child grew, we all knew he wanted to be an architect. So when he finished in high school, he was in Nigeria, we were here in Kenya. The story never changed. He always wanted to be an architect. So when he came to Kenya, he had already, they'd done this thing in school where they had helped them to choose their universities, and for whatever reason, he said, well, he wanted to go to Canada. So it wasn't something that we talked about or prayed about or thought we should think about or even challenge. We just thought, he has said Canada, so that's where he's going to go.
So let me now tell my own side of the story.
Okay.
So he said Canada, but I felt strongly, and it's a right or wrong, it's a belief system I've had that, you know what, at least for their first degrees, I want them around. Because university, that period is so crucial. And I have seen a lot of children of people that I know that was the make or break period for those children. Many of them got lost during that period. So I felt that, the United States International University is here and it's as good as anything. So let them go there. But my wife sided with my son and said Canada. Me, I was Nairobi. Now, and I've learned something. When it comes to a mother and her son, it's difficult to win.
Is it a mother and a son or a mother and her children?
Children, but particularly, I think that's
so.
No, I've not finished my side of the story. So there was that division. All right? And I gauged this thing that, you know what? If I push this thing too hard from a dictator's point of view, my son might rebel, my wife might be very upset. And so we had to find how to make this work. And the way I knew to make it work was this. In the physical, I did everything to support, including sending money to the university in Canada, in the physical. But spiritually, I was going to pray that the Bible says the heart of a king is in God's hand. Father, help me turn their hearts, because I believe your will is United States International University.
All right, so that's your story. So let me now continue. Now, remember you said something. I think our generation, we did not go to university at home. In fact, if anything, I remember that I wanted to be as far away from my parents as possible because I'd been with them from primary school, secondary school.
I can explain that. You're a very good girl,
wait.
So you wanted a place
I wanted
you wanted a place to just break free.
No, I didn't. I never did that. So I wanted to be, and when I was in university, I was a good girl. I didn't do anything
you're
bad.
a good
so
girl.
I thought to myself, so I believed that every child wants a healthy separation, let's call it that, from their parents. So like that thing I said about architecture, somebody said we wanted to do architecture, so we got this, we found this university. Did we find it, was it even the one that had talked about this university?
Because his friend Habib was...
No, it was his own idea.
It was his idea, then Habib
Yes.
now also went there. Okay.
So when he said he'd found this university, we were even the ones who introduced Habib and his parents to the agent and all that, and we talked about the university, and for 2 years, we did everything possible in the physical for Tom to go to Canada. And I mean, everything. Like you said, we got the money, we sent the letters. Every time something would happen, every time when it was about time, they sent us a letter. They called it a provisional letter of acceptance. Before his results came, then the results came and we sent them everything. Every single time it was time, something would happen. And finally, the final time, we had every single thing in place. And we got to the place where we were supposed to submit the application. And we got there. In fact, we got there before time. They had told us be there before 12. I think we got there something like 11:30, and we're so excited that finally, yeah, we have it now. And Tom was saying, Mommy, this time I know that we have it because we have everything. And as we got there, the lady, there said, "Oh, I'm so sorry that the Canadian embassy called, and said we should bring everything in at 10." So I was like, "Yeah, fine," but I mean, it's still before 12. So she said, "No, it's too late." So I'm like, "You are the one who told us to be here this time." So she said the way they are is if they ask you to bring things in at a particular time and you don't bring it at that time, anything you bring afterwards, they won't touch. So it was like a crazy story. Anyway, cut a long story short.
They didn't give him the visa.
The application couldn't go forward.
We're talking about disagreements. You don't need to turn a disagreement into a war. No, you don't need to. And let me tell you my position on these kind of things is that I've always believed that the fact, and I think I've said this before, the fact that I am right doesn't mean the next person is wrong. So I will always give the benefit of the doubt that I could be wrong. All right? And I think it's very, very important. The way you handle the disagreement to a large extent will determine if something constructive will come out of it. If you handle a disagreement from a position of it's my way or the highway, then things will
by the
blow.
time that I realized really that my husband was not on board, I was like, all this time you have been doing. When I realized he didn't feel it, I called him and said, listen, this is what your dad has said. Are you sure? At that point, he said, no, it's okay. Let me try USIU. Because at that point, we realized he had never been on board, but he'd done everything. And when he now said, if we do this, let it be on record that I did not feel it.
I'm going to call Tommy Day right now.
So at that point, I decided, I think we should just...
No, I'm going to call Tommy Day right now. Because I think it's important. Hello, are you camera ready? Just come. We want to just get your view on something. You are not sitting down. You're just standing at the top of the stairs. Okay? You will be seen now. He's saying, will I be seen? Of course you will be seen.
He's not camera ready.
Okay. So what do you want us to do? Okay, I'm going to put you on speakerphone. All right, because we want to know how you felt. Are you speaking?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put you. So, when we're talking about when you wanted to go to Canada, eh?
Yeah.
I hope it's loud enough for the mic. We're talking about when you wanted to go to Canada. At the point when Canada was no more happening,
Yeah.
and we now decided on USIU, and you are going to go to study what you studied and all that. Now, when you look back at your life right now, because I remember in early days you were not happy. At what point did things turn? And when you look at your life right now, how will you appraise the whole thing?
Okay. So I think, obviously in the beginning, I wanted to do architecture at first. And I remember in the beginning it was extremely hard. I was honestly extremely angry. But what made it easy at first was, getting there and realizing that I saw a lot of people that I had known, before, who were also in their own similar situation. So I think that's what eased it at first. But I think really I have a lot more appreciation for staying, towards my closing years of USIU. That's now when, Mr. and Miss happened. And I realized
Mr. and Miss, just explain. Let me explain. Mr. and Miss was, Tomide said he wanted to do, something to increase his visibility in the society. And so he contested for Mr. USIU. USIU is United States International University. So he competed for Mr. USIU. And he won. Go on.
Yeah, so, I remember when we had that conversation, I realized I was in my third year, I was about to finish. but I knew that there was a lot more I could do, and with all the plans and future aspirations I had, I knew that I needed to kind of put myself out there for people to know what I was doing. So when that happened, I think that's when I really I was able to meet the right people. I was able to meet my friends, the future misses, and everything. So for me, that was probably the most important part of that whole journey. And that's when I realized that was the reason why I had to stay. That was the reason why I had to stay in Kenya. And it's that third, fourth year towards the end that I honestly, genuinely really appreciated. Because at the beginning, obviously it got easier because of my friends and everything. Then it started to get easier when I realized that, actually cybersecurity, which is what I started studying, is the most relevant thing you can study in our world right now. So I started to realize that, if I went to Canada, there's no way I would have made that switch to cybersecurity. I would have continued with architecture, which is not a problem. But now looking at it, I realized that degree, being able to have that background, especially now with a lot of the things that I want to do. I call myself a futurist. And it doesn't get better, saying that your background is in cybersecurity. So even the level of credibility that I have. So around the time I started to realize I wanted to, be this futurist and, be involved in such things, I started to appreciate the degree. But then it's towards my third and fourth year that I actually started to really appreciate the entire experience. Yeah.
All right. So everything worked out for good. So if you knew that your life was going to go in this direction at the time you wanted to go to Canada, what would you have chosen?
You mean, I'm not getting. If I knew?
If you had a way of seeing that, staying here, you will become Mr. USIU, you will win. Then you now did the Mr. University Kenya, and you won that competition also. You met your future spouse. You got involved in all the things you are doing now. Now you're a consultant. If you saw this and you had to choose between Canada, going to study architecture, and now, if you had advanced picture of this, what would you have chosen?
I would have cancelled Canada ASAP, quickly.
So in this whole thing, your daddy was right.
Yeah, I guess.
Is this where we're going? All right, Tom. Thanks.
All right, Tom. I'm proud of you. Well done, son. All right.
I can't even believe that after all this. All right, Tom. Bye. Yes, you were right. You were right. And I'm happy that you were with us, quote unquote, even though you were not. That you were with us.
But I was with you, and I averted a war.
Yes.
So, guys, at the end of the day, we can disagree. We can seriously disagree, because this was a serious disagreement. And the disagreement does not have to disintegrate into warfare. So
I think we should talk about that and talk about something else as well.
Maybe we'll continue next week.
Okay.
Yes, we'll continue next week.
Yes, so we can disagree and still be on the same page. And I want to say something, and I think that a lot of mothers can learn from this. One of the reasons why I took my son's side was because I could see that he was so miserable. So I was sure Canada must be it, But thank God that my husband was not emotional about it, even though I didn't know. I mean, you can imagine my shock. I can even tell you where I was the day you told me. Then let me tell you the truth, I don't feel this thing. So, so we disagreed. We lived peacefully. I was not aware that he felt that strongly until the end, until after the 2-year period. All
right, then. So, guys, we are not saying do not disagree. But before the disagreement, and we'll talk about this next week, what are conflict resolution protocols that you need to set in place in your relationship before the conflict ever arises? All right, so put your comments in there. Let's engage. And thank you so much for following this show consistently every week. God bless you.